Your paycheck is frozen while bills keep climbing. Credit card interest rates hover at 20%, yet savings accounts offer a measly 3%. Meanwhile, student loan payments have resumed for millions, including 9.7 million borrowers already in default. Like a wallet that mysteriously shrinks every month, Americans nationwide are feeling the squeeze, creating a spending freeze that's alarming retailers and economists. If you're feeling the financial pressure in 2025, you're not crazy, and you're definitely not alone. Today, we're examining 4 critical factors creating this economic vice grip and providing practical strategies to protect your financial future when every dollar counts more than ever. Economic time machine, the ghosts of recessions past. Remember those haunting images from 2008? Foreclosure signs dotting neighborhoods like gravestones. Lehman Brothers employees carrying cardboard boxes filled with desk plants and framed photos. Job seekers forming lines that stretched around city blocks. Desperate faces revealing the human cost of economic collapse. Fast forward to today in 2025, and things feel weirdly different, but somehow the same. It's like economic déjà vu. We're standing in this strange moment where official reports tell us everything's fine while our bank accounts scream otherwise. The government keeps dropping phrases like robust economic indicators and strong fundamentals. But when you check your finances after paying bills, you're left wondering if they're looking at the same economy you're living in. Pull up any shopping mall parking lot camera from this year and compare it to pre-pandemic footage. Notice something? Those once-packed lots now have prime spots available on Saturday afternoons. Retail foot traffic has plummeted since 2023. Major chains that seemed untouchable are quietly closing locations without making headlines. America's spending habits have dramatically shifted. Empty storefronts with for lease signs becoming a common sight in once bustling shopping districts. Economic cycles follow predictable patterns that have repeated throughout history. Think of the economy like a roller coaster with inevitable ups and downs. The problem is, most people only realize they're heading downhill once they're already screaming with their hands in the air. Right now, we're at that deceptive moment at the top of the track where everything seems calm before the drop. Throughout American history, economic downturns have followed similar patterns. First comes consumer nervousness and cutting back on non-essentials. Then businesses notice sales declining and reduce inventory. Next comes workforce optimization, corporate speak for layoffs, further reducing consumer spending power. This vicious cycle accelerates once it begins, and we're already seeing these warning signs flash red in 2025. The historical parallels are striking. During the Great Depression, consumer pullback happened gradually. People eating out less, repairing clothes instead of buying new ones, carpooling to save money. Similarly, in 2025, we see Americans canceling streaming subscriptions, bringing lunch to work instead of ordering delivery, and postponing major purchases. Walk through any suburban neighborhood on a weekday, and you'll notice more cars in driveways as remote work becomes a financial necessity rather than a convenience. The 1970s stagflation era offers another instructive comparison. Americans faced rising prices and stagnant wages, just like today, and responded by downsizing expectations. The dream home became the practical reality of a smaller one. Two-car families became single-car households. Extravagant vacations transformed into local staycations. Fast forward to now, and vacation bookings are down while new vehicle purchases continue declining. Then came 2008, which most of us remember clearly. That crisis taught hard lessons about debt and financial fragility. People discovered home equity wasn't the guaranteed wealth builder everyone promised. Credit card companies weren't their friends. Having cash reserves mattered more than keeping up appearances. Those lessons stuck with millennials who entered adulthood during that crisis. And now they're teaching Gen Z the same cautious approach. What makes 2025 fascinating is how consumer confidence is dropping before official economic metrics show serious trouble. Americans have developed a sixth sense for economic turmoil after experiencing multiple crises in rapid succession. We're seeing consumers battening down the financial hatches while economists still debate whether we're heading for rough seas. Understanding these historical parallels provides a roadmap for what happens next. When you can identify where we are in the economic cycle, you gain the power to make strategic decisions before the masses catch on. While everyone else panics as reality catches up with optimistic forecasts, you'll be calmly executing a plan based on historical precedent. Each economic downturn taught valuable lessons that benefited those who paid attention. The Great Depression created savers who understood financial resilience. The stagflation era produced consumers who questioned constant upgrading and found value in simplicity. The 2008 crisis birthed debt-averse, investment-savvy millennials. This current spending pullback will create similar opportunities for those who recognize the patterns early. So why are stores emptying across America in 2025? Because we're experiencing consumer hesitation in the early stages of an economic cycle downturn. History shows that consumers sense trouble before economists declare it official. They adjust spending habits while government officials point to lagging indicators showing economic strength. People are responding to economic warning signs based on lived experience, regardless of what official statistics suggest. Look at climbing retail empty rates in suburban shopping centers nationally compared to 2023, or how restaurant reservations have significantly declined year over year. These aren't random fluctuations. They're the early warning system of consumer confidence dropping before other economic metrics reflect trouble. The unique aspect of 2025's spending pullback is its uneven distribution. While luxury retailers report record profits catering to the ultra-wealthy, mid-range brands struggle to maintain foot traffic. Dollar stores and discount chains see increased customers, but decreased average purchase amounts. This bifurcation reflects growing income inequality that's exacerbating the consumer spending slowdown among middle and working-class Americans. Today's conditions mirror previous pre-recession periods. Housing affordability has reached crisis levels in most major metro areas. Personal savings rates have been declining for 6 consecutive quarters. Credit card utilization is approaching 2008 levels. These indicators historically precede broader economic contractions. Yet official economic forecasts remain optimistically detached from consumer realities. The good news: understanding these historical patterns doesn't just help predict economic trouble, it also reveals opportunities. Every economic downturn throughout American history has created wealth-building opportunities for those prepared to capitalize on them. While most people freeze during uncertain times, the financially savvy position themselves to thrive when conditions eventually improve. The incredible shrinking dollar. How 2.8% inflation is actually 28% pain. While the financially savvy position themselves to thrive, most Americans are facing a hidden threat that's silently draining their purchasing power every single day. Ever wonder why your paycheck seems to disappear faster now than it did 3 years ago? The answer lies in a financial illusion that's making your money vanish right before your eyes. The University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Survey confirms what your wallet already knows. In March 2025, consumer confidence took a nosedive, with Americans growing increasingly worried about inflation and job security. Consumers now expect inflation to hit 5% over the next year, the highest level since November 2022. They're predicting inflation to run at 4.1% over the next 5 years, numbers we haven't seen since February 1993. But wait, if you've been watching the news, you've probably heard the government talking about core inflation hovering around 2.8%. So what gives? Why does everything cost so much more if inflation is supposedly under control? The truth is, that 2.8% figure is like using an average temperature to decide what to wear. Sure, it might be 70 degrees on average, but if your head's in the oven and your feet are in the freezer, you're not exactly comfortable. The same principle applies to inflation. That 2.8% is an average across thousands of items, many of which you rarely buy. Let me show you what's really happening to your money. A $20 bill from 2022 looks identical to today's $20. But in terms of what they can buy, 3 years ago, that $20 could get you a decent meal at a casual restaurant. Today, it barely covers an appetizer and a drink. The inflation illusion. The government calculates inflation using the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, PCE, tracking prices of everything from haircuts to computers to housing. The problem? The PCE doesn't match your real life. It includes items you might buy once every few years alongside necessities you buy weekly. What's really eating away at your budget are the necessities, things you can't live without. You can't simply say, eggs cost too much this week, so we'll skip breakfast. You need food. You need shelter. You need transportation. These aren't optional expenses. This is where sticky inflation comes in. Imagine it as financial superglue that attaches to your essential expenses and never lets go. Certain prices, especially in services, stay high, even when the economy slows. Once your rent increases, it rarely decreases. Insurance premiums don't drop just because inflation supposedly moderates. This sticky inflation creates a permanent dent in your purchasing power. The real numbers gap. Let's put this in real dollars. If you're making the median American salary of about $57,000 with a 3.4% raise this year, that's an extra $1,938 per year. But inflation takes 2.8% right back, leaving you with just 0.6% real growth. Only about $7 extra per week, barely enough for a fast food lunch. And that assumes inflation really is 2.8%. For daily essentials, the rate is much higher. Food prices are up 15 to 20% over 3 years. Housing costs in major metropolitan areas have jumped 25% since 2022. Healthcare premiums continue to outpace general inflation significantly. The disconnect between official statistics and your lived reality is financially devastating. When the government reports 2.8% inflation, they're including price decreases in electronics that most people buy infrequently. Meanwhile, your weekly grocery bill has jumped from $150 to nearly $200. The hidden tax. Inflation is essentially a tax no one voted for that hits hardest those who can least afford it. If you're wealthy with substantial investments, inflation can benefit you as asset values often rise. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're getting crushed from both ends, higher prices and stagnant effective wages. The most insidious part is that the government keeps telling us things are fine. The economy is strong. Inflation is cooling. But your shrinking purchasing power tells a different story. It's like being told the boat isn't sinking while you're ankle deep in water. The reality is stark. That 2.8% inflation figure suggests prices have increased about 8.7% over 3 years compounded. But for necessities, the true increase has been 2 to 3 times higher. When these essential expenses dominate your monthly budget, you're experiencing something closer to 15 to 20% inflation over 3 years, equivalent to losing a fifth of your purchasing power. The real-world impact. This hidden inflation tax explains why stores are emptying across America. People want to spend, they literally can't afford to after covering basics. When your essential costs jump significantly, but your paycheck grows minimally, something has to give. For most Americans, that something is discretionary spending on everything from restaurants to retail. The psychological impact matches the financial damage. When you're constantly losing ground despite working hard, it creates a sense of futility. Why try to get ahead when inflation eats away any progress? This mindset shift appears in those University of Michigan consumer sentiment numbers. Americans are losing faith in their economic future. Understanding this gap between official inflation figures and your everyday experience is crucial. The financial illusion affects everything from your daily purchasing decisions to your long-term financial security. When the government says 2.8%, but your wallet feels 15%, you're not imagining things. You're experiencing the true cost of today's economic reality. The $1.7 trillion anchor. How student debt is drowning the economy. Americans aren't just losing faith in their economic future because of inflation. They're drowning in a sea of student loan debt that's pulling entire generations underwater. With $1.7 trillion in outstanding student loans weighing down the economy, we're witnessing the financial equivalent of trying to swim with an anchor tied to your waist. This debt crisis creates an economic tsunami, washing away consumer spending and emptying stores nationwide. Imagine trying to stay afloat while carrying this anchor. For 43 million Americans, the pandemic-era payment pause created a temporary moment to breathe above water. People adapted their budgets, put money toward necessities, or built small emergency funds. But when the pause ended in 2023, the economic shock hit hard. Suddenly finding an extra $200, $300, or $500 in your monthly budget meant choosing between groceries and keeping the lights on. The current situation looks grim. Nearly half of all student loan borrowers, 45.7%, are actively repaying, while about 21% have put loans into forbearance, a temporary reprieve where interest continues accumulating. Most concerning, 13% of borrowers have already fallen into default, meaning they're more than 360 days behind on payments. These aren't mere statistics. They represent millions of Americans with devastated financial futures. Defaulting on student loans triggers devastating consequences. Your credit score can plummet by 100 points overnight, effectively locking you out of the housing market. Mortgage applications get rejected, auto loans come with predatory interest rates, if approved at all, and even renting becomes difficult when landlords check credit. Take Sarah from Michigan, who defaulted during a 3-month employment gap. 5 years later, despite steady payments since then, she still can't qualify for a mortgage despite earning a good salary. The default placed a financial scarlet letter on her record that follows her everywhere. This debt burden falls disproportionately on young adults who should be building wealth. The typical young adult household has a net worth of just $11,200, compared to $192,100 for all U.S. adult households. This wealth gap widens further for Black and Hispanic young adults, preventing entire generations and communities from building financial security. Millennials and Gen X carry the heaviest burdens. Many took on debt expecting higher-paying jobs, only to graduate into recessions or devalued degrees. With the average student loan balance at $39,000 and interest rates around 6.5%, a standard 10-year repayment plan requires monthly payments of approximately $440. The cruel reality. During the first few years, most of that payment goes toward interest, not principal, leaving borrowers feeling trapped as their balance barely decreases despite faithful payments. Racial disparities compound these problems. Black borrowers face significantly higher debt burdens, with 52% carrying at least $25,000 in loans compared to 41% of white borrowers. After graduation, Black borrowers typically owe 50% more in student debt than their white peers, and this gap triples within 4 years. For communities already facing systemic barriers, student loan debt becomes another obstacle to building generational wealth. The timing of this crisis creates a perfect storm. As inflation erodes purchasing power from one direction, student loan payments attack from another. It's like trying to fill a bathtub while someone keeps opening the drain and poking holes in the bottom. That $300 to $400 monthly payment used to support dining out, shopping, travel, or entertainment. Now it vanishes into loan servicers' accounts, creating ripple effects throughout the economy. Consider the collective impact. 43 million borrowers redirecting just $200 monthly from discretionary spending to loan payments removes $8.6 billion monthly from the consumer economy. This explains declining restaurant customers, reduced retail foot traffic, and decreased travel bookings. When millions simultaneously cut spending, businesses feel immediate impacts. The consequences extend beyond discretionary purchases. When hundreds of dollars go to student loans monthly, borrowers can't save for home down payments, start businesses, invest for retirement, or begin families. These delayed milestones have profound economic implications that will echo for decades. Many young adults have returned to their parents' homes out of economic necessity. When entry-level salaries barely cover loan payments and basic expenses, sharing housing costs becomes essential. While this saves money individually, it means fewer apartments rented and fewer households purchasing furniture, appliances, and other goods associated with independent living. The psychological toll compounds these financial challenges. Carrying seemingly insurmountable debt creates chronic stress, anxiety, and hopelessness. These mental health impacts reduce productivity, creativity, and economic participation. How can you focus on innovation or entrepreneurship when you're constantly calculating which bills to pay this month? While income-driven repayment plans attempt to address the crisis, they come with complex paperwork, administrative hurdles, and the psychological weight of watching balances grow through interest capitalization even as you make payments. Many borrowers describe it as running on a financial treadmill, making payments faithfully without making progress. What options remain for those trapped in this cycle? How can we rescue a generation drowning in debt while preserving educational opportunities for future students? The path forward requires both individual financial strategies and systemic changes. And in the next section, we'll explore practical solutions that could help borrowers finally break the surface and breathe. The psychology of penny pinching. Why we're hoarding cash in 2025. That feeling of running on a financial treadmill extends far beyond student loans. It's reshaping how every American makes decisions at the cash register. While you might splurge on a $7 latte occasionally, your brain is likely making hundreds of tiny calculations to protect you from economic danger that previous generations never had to consider. When's the last time you stood in a store, something in your hand, and had a full-on mental debate with yourself about whether you really needed it? For Eliza, a 26-year-old graphic designer, it happened last week with a $30 sweater. I liked it, could afford it, but still stood there for 5 minutes weighing if I should buy it against my emergency fund goals, she admits. This hesitation reflects your brain's threat detection system kicking into high gear, treating financial uncertainty the same way it responds to physical danger. Neuroscientists have discovered something fascinating about our brains during economic downturns. The amygdala, that primitive part responsible for our fight or flight response, lights up when we perceive financial threats, releasing stress hormones like cortisol. Your body treats predatory interest rates the same as a predator in the wild. This survival response explains why you obsessively check your bank balance, cut back on social outings, or feel anxiety when adding items to your online cart. Your brain enters survival mode to protect you from what it perceives as an existential threat. These psychological shifts happen before actual economic deterioration. Your brain's early warning system picks up subtle signals: a friend getting laid off, rising grocery prices, economic news, and prepares for worse conditions. This collective psychological reaction can accelerate economic downturns as millions of Americans simultaneously pull back on spending. The data confirms this is happening now. Brain scans show heightened activity in stress-related regions when people view financial statements or make purchases. We're witnessing psychological shifts mirroring previous recessions, except they're spreading faster through social media and constant news exposure. Different generations respond to these psychological triggers in dramatically different ways. Gen Z and millennials show the most dramatic spending cutbacks, being 3 times more likely than boomers to eliminate non-essential purchases when facing economic uncertainty. This generational difference makes sense considering each group's formative experiences with money. Baby boomers grew up during unprecedented economic growth, when a single income could support a family, college was affordable, and job security meant something. While they've lived through recessions, their foundational money beliefs formed during prosperous times. Millennials, however, entered adulthood during the 2008 financial crisis, only to face a pandemic and record inflation just as they were recovering. Gen Z has never known a world without economic anxiety. Their earliest money memories likely involve terms like foreclosure, bailout, and unemployment. These experiences shape neural pathways governing how they process risk and reward for decades. Human psychology reveals something contradictory in our spending behaviors during tough times. The lipstick effect, coined by Estee Lauder chairman Leonard Lauder, describes how lipstick sales increase during economic downturns. You might recognize this pattern in your own life. Canceling a vacation while splurging on small treats like premium ice cream or scented candles that make your existing space feel special. These small indulgences provide comfort and normalcy while making bigger sacrifices elsewhere. This explains the seemingly contradictory data in 2025. Overall consumer spending is down significantly, yet certain small luxury goods show surprising resilience. Have you noticed yourself cutting back broadly while maintaining specific small pleasures? You're not alone. The psychological need for control also explains seemingly irrational financial behaviors. Our research shows 45% of consumers make fear-driven purchases during uncertain times, stocking up on essentials or items they believe will maintain value. Meanwhile, 58% report significant cutbacks on non-essentials. Making proactive purchases gives people agency, while eliminating unnecessary expenses helps them feel secure. For retailers and marketers, understanding these dynamics is crucial. Brands once relying on aspirational messaging now emphasize value, security, and sensible indulgence. The most successful companies aren't dismissing consumers' financial anxieties. They're acknowledging these feelings and offering appropriate solutions. This collective psychology shift is reshaping an entire generation's fundamental relationship with money. Younger Americans are developing financial habits resembling their Great Depression-era great-grandparents more than their boomer parents. They prioritize emergency savings over retirement, choose job security over advancement, delay major life purchases, and approach debt cautiously. Financial planners report Gen Z clients often arrive with 6 months of living expenses already saved, something previous generations typically didn't accomplish until middle age, if ever. Social media amplifies these shifts, creating new cultural narratives around spending and saving. Content creators sharing no-buy challenges, cash stuffing, and frugal living rack up millions of views. The new status symbol isn't expensive possessions. It's having financial resilience to weather uncertainty without lifestyle changes. This psychology shift explains why younger Americans are saving at unprecedented rates despite facing higher costs for education, housing, and healthcare. They're preparing for future economic conditions, shaped by memories of financial trauma during their formative years. Brain scans of young adults making financial decisions show heightened activity in regions associated with long-term planning and risk assessment compared to previous generations at the same age. They're thinking differently about money, with new economic survival lessons from the Great Depression to COVID. As those cautious neural pathways drive unprecedented financial caution, we're witnessing something fascinating: the resurrection of money wisdom from America's toughest economic chapters. The survival strategies that pulled people through the Great Depression, World War II rationing, and even the 2008 housing crash are making a surprising comeback in 2025. But here's what's truly remarkable. These old-school approaches are creating entirely new opportunities. History shows us that economic downturns have consistently birthed some of America's most innovative companies. General Motors, IBM, and Disney were all founded during recessions. More recently, Airbnb and Uber launched during the 2008 financial crisis when their founders needed extra income. These were strategic responses to economic pressure that transformed into billion-dollar businesses. What makes 2025's economic landscape so interesting is how younger generations are instinctively adopting survival tactics their great-grandparents would immediately recognize. That Depression-era mantra, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without, has found new life in today's repair-focused economy. Consider these trends. Clothing repair shops, 78% increase in business since 2023. YouTube Fix-It tutorials, views up 240% year-over-year. Neighborhood by Nothing groups, grown by 350% since 2023. Community gardens, expanded by 180% nationwide in 2 years. Seed companies, sales up 215% from pre-pandemic levels. The most successful Depression-era families were resourceful innovators who found ways to create value from nothing. Community swap networks flourished, allowing families to exchange skills and goods without spending cash. Today, over 5 million Americans now participate in some form of goods exchange outside the traditional economy. Maria Sanchez, a 34-year-old Chicago resident, grows nearly 70% of her summer produce on her apartment balcony, saving approximately $1,800 annually on grocery bills. My grandmother taught me these skills during the 2008 recession, she explained. She learned them from her mother, who lived through the Depression. It's like economic survival DNA passed down through generations. World War II's Victory Gardens offer another brilliant model for today's economic challenges. During the war, Americans grew an estimated 40% of the nation's produce in backyards, empty lots, and rooftops. This strategy was both patriotic and economical. Fast forward to 2025, and urban farming startups have attracted $1.2 billion in venture capital despite the broader investment slowdown. The 1970s stagflation era, when Americans faced a brutal combination of rising prices and economic stagnation, offers particularly relevant lessons. That economic crisis fundamentally transformed American shopping habits by creating demand for generic store brands and discount retailers. Companies like Walmart expanded rapidly during this period by offering cash-strapped consumers cheaper alternatives to name brands. This pattern is repeating in 2025. Store brand purchases have surged 32% since 2023, with 78% of shoppers now regularly choosing generics over name brands. Today's consumers are using technology to optimize their shopping. Price comparison apps, 215% increase in daily active users. Cashback platforms, user growth of 170% year over year. Skill-sharing marketplaces, grown 145% since 2023. The 2008 financial crisis provides our most recent blueprint for economic adaptation. As traditional employment collapsed, Americans pioneered new income models that have permanently changed how we work. The sharing economy was born from financial necessity as people monetized their biggest assets, homes and cars, through platforms like Airbnb and Uber. Today's economic pressure is sparking similar innovation. The average American with a side hustle now earns $12,800 annually from secondary income sources, nearly 23% of the median full-time salary. What's different in 2025 is how technology amplifies these resilient strategies. During the Great Depression, knowledge spread slowly through communities and families. Today, financial survival tactics go viral instantly. A 22-year-old TikTok creator saw her Depression-era grocery hacks. Video reach 8.7 million views in just 48 hours, while Reddit forums dedicated to economic survival skills have grown membership by 320% in 6 months. These historical patterns reveal something crucial about economic downturns. They transform rather than merely destroy. The most financially successful people during tough times are those who adapt and innovate. They recognize that scarcity breeds creativity, forcing us to question consumption habits and business models that worked during boom times. Economic constraint has consistently driven technological advancement. The 1970s energy crisis accelerated fuel-efficient vehicle development and alternative energy research. The 2008 financial crisis dramatically accelerated digital payment adoption and remote work capabilities. Today's spending pullback is already driving innovations in resource efficiency, with companies developing new ways to help consumers do more with less. Even our relationship with money itself transforms during downturns. Financial psychologists have documented how recession-era spending habits often persist long after economic recovery. People who experienced the Great Depression maintained frugal habits for decades, just as 2008 recession survivors show more cautious financial behaviors 15 years later. The financial mindset forming in 2025 will likely influence spending patterns for a generation. Perhaps most importantly, economic survival skills build more than just financial resilience. They develop psychological strength. Studies show that people who successfully navigate economic hardship often report greater life satisfaction and reduced financial anxiety even years later. They've proven to themselves they can adapt to challenging circumstances, creating confidence that carries forward even when conditions improve. This doesn't mean economic hardship is positive. It brings very real suffering. But understanding these historical patterns helps us recognize that today's challenges, while difficult, aren't unprecedented. Americans have repeatedly faced economic storms and not only survived, but eventually thrived by developing new skills, businesses, and financial habits that served them well long after recovery. Budget Bootcamp: Recession-Proofing Your Finances in 2025. While those historic lessons are valuable, what if I told you there's a way to turn this economic knowledge into practical action right now? Most Americans are missing the simple system that can help them secure their finances during this downturn. Here's the surprising truth. Those who successfully weathered past recessions followed a specific financial defense plan that most people in 2025 are doing completely backwards. Let's face it, most of us approach budgeting all wrong. We get our paychecks, immediately pay our bills, buy what we need, and often what we don't, and then maybe save whatever's left. But by then, there's usually nothing left to save. This backward approach is exactly why so many Americans find themselves struggling when economic storms hit. The key is flipping this approach completely. Let me walk you through a 5-step financial defense bootcamp that can transform your finances, even in uncertain times. Step 1. Create your first line of defense. A small emergency fund of $1,000 or $500 if that's more achievable. This specific goal creates a critical buffer between you and unexpected expenses. Consider Sarah, a marketing coordinator who started with just $25 weekly transfers into a separate account until she reached $1,000. When her car needed unexpected repairs, she avoided going deeper into credit card debt. Step 2. Track your spending with absolute precision. Document every dollar, each coffee, subscription, and impulse purchase. Most people are shocked when they see their true spending patterns. You might discover hundreds of dollars going to things providing minimal value each month. This complete spending awareness forms the foundation of recession-proof budgeting. Step 3. Implement the recession-modified 50-30-20 rule. Traditionally, this method allocates 50% of income to necessities, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings and debt repayment. In today's economic climate, adjust this to 50% necessities, 20% wants, and 30% savings/debt. This strategic shift creates greater financial resilience when income becomes uncertain. Step 4. Organize your bill payment schedule meticulously. Mark every due date and identify any past due amounts immediately. Make at least the minimum payments on all debts to avoid costly fees. After covering basics and minimums, direct remaining funds toward building your emergency fund until you reach your target. Step 5. Conduct a thorough spending audit, the secret weapon of financially resilient people. Examine 3 months of statements and categorize each expense. Look specifically for financial leaks. Those recurring subscriptions you barely use, multiple streaming services, and unused memberships. Collectively, these small expenses drain thousands from your annual budget. Most Americans spend heavily on dining out, professional grooming services, multiple subscriptions, and frequent tech upgrades. Each category presents opportunities for meaningful savings. Every dollar saved reduces debt and minimizes interest payments, creating a compound positive effect on your finances. The crucial part of recession-proofing your finances involves recalibrating your understanding of needs versus wants. A need is essential for basic living: housing, utilities, basic food, transportation to work, and healthcare. Everything else falls into the want category, making it negotiable. During tough economic times, financial experts recommend value-based spending, ensuring limited resources go toward things that genuinely improve your life while eliminating expenditures that don't. Ask yourself, does this purchase align with my priorities? Will it meaningfully enhance my well-being? If not, eliminate it during economic uncertainty. When creating your recession-proof budget, prioritize these essential categories in this order. 1. Housing. Nothing is more important than keeping a roof over your head. 2. High-interest debt reduction. These become increasingly burdensome during downturns. 3. Emergency fund. Build to at least 3 months of expenses. 4. Basic necessities, food, utilities, and healthcare. Be ruthless about eliminating these categories. Subscription services used infrequently. Dining out. Impulse purchases. Non-essential shopping. Many discover they can cut discretionary spending by 30 to 40% without significantly impacting quality of life, simply by eliminating low-value expenditures. If managing finances feels overwhelming, seek support, especially if having money triggers unhealthy spending. Choose a trusted family member, financial advisor, or sponsor who can help navigate these changes with transparency and open communication. For those recovering from financial setbacks, acceptance is the crucial first step. Acknowledge your situation without judgment, then address it promptly. Take inventory of your resources, set up your budget using these methods, prioritize expenses, and take immediate action. The sooner you start, the better your outcome. As economic concerns grow in 2025, these budgeting strategies become increasingly critical. Financial experts consistently recommend disciplined budgeting as outlined, proactive debt management, diversification of income sources, covered in the next section, and strategic cash flow management to maximize every dollar. The goal is positioning yourself to thrive when economic conditions eventually improve. By implementing these strategic budgeting practices now, you're building financial habits that will serve you well throughout your life, regardless of economic conditions. Recession-resistant income streams, making money when others can't. Those budget strategies are crucial, but they're only half the equation. When the economy tanks, most people focus solely on spending less. But what if you could earn more instead? There's a whole category of recession-proof income streams that actually perform better during economic uncertainty. And the people who understand this paradox can turn financial disasters into personal windfalls. While most people freeze and hunker down during economic downturns, the financially successful throughout history have done the opposite. They expand their income sources precisely when conditions appear bleakest. During the 2008 financial crisis, Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia launched Airbnb, recognizing people suddenly needed extra income from their homes while others wanted affordable travel. Today, their company is worth over $75 billion. The opportunity emerged because of the recession, not despite it. This pattern repeats consistently. Joseph Kennedy built his fortune during the Great Depression. MailChimp found its footing during the 2001 dot-com crash. Economic chaos creates opportunity for those paying attention. What makes certain businesses thrive in downturns? Recession-resistant industries maintain or increase demand when the economy struggles. Healthcare remains essential. People continue getting sick regardless of economic conditions, and healthcare spending typically increases as stress-related conditions rise. Essential repair services boom as people fix rather than replace. As one mechanic told me, when money gets tight, my phone rings more. Budget retail represents another recession winner. While luxury stores suffer, discount chains like Dollar General often expand during downturns, opening hundreds of new locations during the 2008 recession while competitors closed doors. You can position yourself within these resilient sectors using the barbell strategy, creating two income streams at opposite ends of the risk spectrum. On one end, maintain ultra-stable, recession-resistant income, like a healthcare job. On the other, develop high-risk, high-reward opportunities with massive upside potential. Avoid the vulnerable middle, average-risk ventures that aren't essential enough to survive, but lack sufficient upside to justify their risk. Sarah, a registered nurse in Cleveland, exemplifies this approach. Her healthcare job provides reliable income during economic downturns, the stable end of her barbell. She also started an online health coaching business targeting stressed executives, her high-risk, high-reward venture. During the 2020 pandemic recession, her coaching business exploded as executives prioritized health. What started as my safety net became my passion and eventually my primary income, Sarah explained. Skills stacking offers another powerful strategy, combining 2 to 3 marketable skills to create unique value that remains in demand regardless of economic conditions. The magic happens when combining skills that don't typically go together. Marcus from Atlanta combined his accounting background with video production skills. When the 2020 recession hit, he created financial explanation videos for small businesses navigating government assistance programs. By stacking these unrelated skills, he created a unique service companies desperately needed during uncertainty. His income tripled while others in both fields struggled. The key is finding skills that create cost savings for businesses or help generate revenue. These remain valuable when budgets tighten. Adding AI-related skills to almost any profession creates an especially powerful stack today. A marketing specialist who understands AI automation tools becomes significantly more valuable when companies must do more marketing with smaller teams. Several recession-proof side hustles are particularly effective in 2025. Virtual bookkeeping services thrive as businesses cut in-house accounting staff. Elena started her service during the 2020 recession with just 3 clients. Today, she manages books for 22 small businesses, earning more than her previous corporate job while working fewer hours. Equipment repair specialists see consistent demand. When Dave lost his construction job in 2023, he leveraged his mechanical knowledge to fix fitness equipment. As gym memberships became luxury items, more people bought used equipment needing repairs. He now earns 30% more than his construction salary while setting his own hours. Budget-friendly alternatives to expensive services perform well during downturns. Jessica created an affordable date night in a box subscription, helping couples maintain relationships without expensive outings. As restaurant spending declined in 2024, her subscriber base grew by 240%. Product refurbishment has become lucrative. Michael buys broken electronics, repairs them, and resells them. As new electronics purchases declined, his refurbishment business saw demand increase by 85%. Digital skills relating to business efficiency remain recession-proof. Alicia offers Canva template design services to small businesses, creating professional marketing materials without expensive designers. Her client, a small bakery owner, noted, "Her templates let us keep marketing when we had to cut our design budget completely." The common thread? These ventures either help people save money or help businesses reduce costs while maintaining operations, exactly what's needed during economic uncertainty. To launch your own recession-resistant side hustle, Start by identifying problems created by the current economic climate. Where are people feeling pain? What budget items are they cutting that you could provide cheaper alternatives for? Next, analyze your existing skills. The best opportunities often lie at the intersection of what you're good at and what the recession-impacted market needs. Start small, test your concept while maintaining your primary income, and build systems that allow you to scale without proportionally increasing your time investment. This creates true leverage that transforms a side hustle into significant income. 9. Investing in the storm, where smart money goes during downturns. Creating systems for reliable income is brilliant, but what happens to the money you've already set aside? When markets are in freefall and everyone's panic selling, that's exactly when wealth-building opportunities appear. Economic chaos has historically been the breeding ground for future millionaires. Not because they're lucky, but because they understand investment cycles. Look at the crash of 2020, when the market plunged 34% in just 33 days. Horrifying, right? But investors who kept buying through that crash saw their portfolios rebound dramatically, with many tech stocks doubling or tripling within 18 months. This pattern repeats throughout history, like fertile soil emerging after a storm has cleared. The challenge is knowing which investments actually thrive in stormy economic weather versus those that silently erode your wealth. Let's focus on how key asset classes perform when the economy hits rough waters. Stocks take the most obvious beating during downturns, but not all stocks suffer equally. During the 2008 crisis, the S&P 500 dropped nearly 57% from its peak, but consumer staple stocks like Walmart only fell about 28%. This difference exists because people need toothpaste, food, and basic household items regardless of economic climate. It's like the difference between trees in a storm. Some bend dramatically, while others barely sway. Bonds typically move inversely to stocks, making them valuable portfolio components during downturns. In 2008, while stocks were crashing, U.S. Treasury bonds gained around 20%. But here's the catch. Not all bonds offer equal protection. During severe economic stress, low-quality corporate bonds can behave more like stocks than bonds, leaving investors exposed precisely when they need shelter most. Cash, often overlooked as an investment category, becomes incredibly powerful during market crashes. Having liquid assets allows you to capitalize on bargains when others are forced to sell at any price. Think of cash during a downturn like water in a desert, suddenly more valuable than gold. Warren Buffett famously stockpiled over $128 billion in cash before the 2020 crash, allowing Berkshire Hathaway to scoop up bargains when opportunities emerged. So what strategies actually work for the average investor during economic turbulence? Dollar cost averaging, continuing to invest fixed amounts at regular intervals regardless of market conditions, historically outperforms attempts to time market bottoms. Imagine planting seeds consistently through both sunshine and storms, rather than trying to predict perfect weather. Take the case of Emily, a dental hygienist who had been steadily investing for a decade before the 2020 crash. When markets plummeted, rather than panicking, she continued her regular investments while also using some of her emergency fund to purchase additional shares of quality companies that had previously seemed overpriced. Within 18 months, her portfolio had not only recovered, but grown significantly beyond its pre-crash value. Value investing, Warren Buffett's preferred strategy, becomes particularly powerful during downturns. This approach focuses on finding companies trading below their intrinsic value. During recessions, market fear drives down even rock-solid companies, creating opportunities to buy excellent businesses at fire sale prices. A Vanguard study found that investors who followed these principles during the 2008 to 2009 crash had returns approximately 14% higher over the subsequent decade than those who waited for certainty before reinvesting. Consider McDonald's during the 2008 financial crisis. While the broader market collapsed, McDonald's actually gained 5.6% that year. Their affordable menu became more attractive as consumers downgraded from pricier dining options. The company had strong fundamentals, consistent cash flow, and a product people wanted even more during tough times, demonstrating why quality businesses can thrive during economic storms. Defensive stocks in consumer staples, utilities, and healthcare have traditionally provided stability during market turbulence. These sectors provide products and services that people need regardless of economic conditions. During the 2008 crash, utilities as a sector outperformed the broader market by approximately 15%. Another powerful strategy combines defensive positioning with opportunistic buying, maintaining stable investments while keeping cash reserves ready for exceptional opportunities. This approach is like having both an umbrella and a seed packet during a rainstorm. Protection from the downpour plus the ability to plant when conditions are right. The focus should be on quality companies with strong balance sheets, consistent cash flows, and products in demand regardless of economic conditions. During downturns, companies with high debt often face existential threats, while financially sound businesses weather the storm and emerge stronger. Dividend aristocrats. Companies that have increased dividends for at least 25 consecutive years offer another approach. During the 2008 crash, while many companies slashed dividends, aristocrats like Johnson & Johnson maintained their payouts, providing income stability when other investments failed to do so. Remember that market downturns, while emotionally challenging, have been temporary throughout history. The average bear market since World War II has lasted approximately 13 months, while bull markets have averaged about 57 months. Markets have recovered from every downturn, including the Great Depression, the 1970s stagflation crisis, the dot-com crash, and the 2008 financial crisis. The most damaging investment mistake during downturns isn't choosing the wrong investments. It's making emotional decisions that lock in temporary losses and miss the inevitable recovery. Studies consistently show that average investors underperform the market primarily due to emotional reactions, selling during downturns and buying during euphoric periods. Like a sailor who abandons ship during a storm only to watch it sail. The silver lining: how economic downturns create future millionaires. What do Microsoft, Airbnb, and Disney all have in common? They were all started during economic recessions. Could the next great success story be yours? Those emotional investment mistakes are costing you returns and blocking your path to generational wealth. While others see economic chaos, visionaries recognize a blank canvas with half-price supplies and available talent. The next wave of billion-dollar companies is taking shape in garages and basements across America right now, while most people remain fixated on their declining 401ks. Let's be honest, economic downturns suck for most people. Job losses, market crashes, and business closures create real pain. But they also create something magical that boom times can't: opportunity vacuums. When established companies pull back, downsize, or go bankrupt, they leave massive market gaps waiting to be filled by nimble, innovative newcomers. Recessions are like forest fires, devastating in the moment, but creating fertile ground for new growth. They clear out zombie companies that have been limping along on cheap credit and outdated business models. These companies occupy market space, talent, and resources that could be used more efficiently by innovative newcomers. When they collapse, they create perfect conditions for startups with better solutions. Consider WhatsApp, launched in 2009 after the financial crisis when founders Brian Acton and Jan Koum were rejected for jobs at Facebook. 5 years later, Facebook acquired their company for $19 billion. Slack, Venmo, Square, and Uber all emerged from economic chaos. This pattern occurs repeatedly throughout business history. During recessions, startup costs drop dramatically. Commercial real estate becomes affordable. High-quality talent becomes available as larger companies conduct layoffs. Marketing costs plummet as bigger players cut ad budgets. Vendors and suppliers become more flexible when hungry for business. Sophia launched her sustainable packaging company in 2020 when the pandemic was shutting down businesses everywhere. I was terrified, she admits. But I also knew that restaurants were suddenly desperate for takeout solutions, and I had developed compostable containers that were priced competitively with plastic. Today, her company supplies over 400 restaurants nationwide and is approaching $5 million in revenue. Customers during recessions become hyper-focused on value and solving real problems. They cut unnecessary spending, but remain loyal to businesses that help them save money or solve genuine pain points. This creates perfect testing grounds for businesses with truly valuable offerings. If customers will pay during a recession, you've got something special. Netflix demonstrated this perfectly. During the 2008 recession, their streaming service offered incredible entertainment value for people cutting back on expensive outings. Their subscriber base grew by 42% in 2009 while the broader economy struggled. They solved a real problem: affordable entertainment during tough times, and customers rewarded them with lasting loyalty. Investment data supports this opportunity perspective. According to Fidelity, investments made during recessionary periods have historically produced returns approximately 20% higher over the subsequent decade than those made during economic peaks. People who invested during the depths of the 2008 financial crisis saw their portfolios multiply several times over in the following decade. Marcus, a software developer who lost his job in the tech layoffs of 2023, shared, "Losing my job felt like the end of the world. But I used my severance to buy quality stocks that everyone was dumping in panic. Those investments are up over 40% now, and I've started a freelance development business that's earning more than my old salary." The psychological shift during recessions is equally powerful. When easy money disappears, people develop financial muscles they never knew they had. They learn to track expenses, prioritize spending, and create multiple income streams, habits that persist long after economic recovery, creating wealth that boom-time spenders never accumulate. Even established companies find growth opportunities during downturns when they're brave enough to expand while others contract. Amazon doubled its workforce during the 2008 to 2009 recession and invested heavily in infrastructure when costs were low. This positioned them to dominate as e-commerce exploded in recovery years. Domino's Pizza reinvented its product and ordering system during the 2008 recession, resulting in stock growth exceeding 5,000% in the following decade. For everyday investors, recessions offer rare buying opportunities. When the S&P 500 dropped during past recessions, those who continued regular investments saw their wealth multiply in recovery years. The people who built seven-figure retirement accounts weren't market geniuses. They were consistent investors who recognized that downturns are temporary while the upward trajectory of markets is lasting. Carlos, a teacher from Phoenix, maintained his investment discipline when others panicked. During the 2008 crash, I kept putting $500 monthly into my index funds when everyone else I knew stopped investing completely. Those crash-era investments are now the cornerstone of my retirement account, worth about 3 times what my pre-crash investments are worth. Even the spending habits formed during tough times create lasting wealth. Research shows that people who experience significant financial hardship often develop permanent behaviors that increase their long-term financial security. Higher savings rates, more thoughtful consumption, and greater career resilience through ongoing skill development. So how can understanding economic cycles help you thrive when others struggle? By recognizing that downturns are temporary and preparing accordingly, you can maintain financial stability during difficult periods while positioning yourself to capitalize on the inevitable recovery. When assets are cheap, opportunity is abundant, and most people are too scared to act. The key is mindset. While others see only crisis, you must train yourself to see opportunities hidden within chaos. This doesn't mean being callous about the suffering economic downturns cause. It means being strategic enough to create stability for yourself and potentially create jobs and solutions for others. Your 30-day financial resilience plan, from panic to power. That strategic mindset is your foundation. But what happens in the critical first 30 days of financial uncertainty? Most Americans waste this golden window reacting emotionally instead of following the proven formula that could literally determine whether they sink or swim. The difference between financial disaster and financial opportunity might just be the next 4 weeks of your life. Week 1. Assess your financial reality. When economic storm clouds gather, many people either panic spend or freeze completely. But those who emerge from recessions with wealth intact follow a specific battle plan that transforms anxiety into action. Day 1 to 3. Get crystal clear on your current situation. Pull your bank statements and credit card bills from the last 3 months and study where every dollar went. Calculate your true emergency fund needs. In 2025's economy, aim for 6 months of expenses, especially in volatile industries like tech or hospitality. Then identify your financial leaks, those subscriptions you forgot about, daily coffee stops, and impulse Amazon purchases. Day 4 to 7. Create your recession-proof budget using the modified 50-20-30 rule, flipping the last 2 categories to 30% savings and 20% wants. Take immediate action by negotiating bills with service providers, canceling low-value subscriptions, and automating transfers to start building your emergency fund. By week's end, you'll have complete awareness of your financial position, the foundation of all smart decisions to come. Week 2, protect and enhance your income. Day 8 to 9, create a debt attack plan using either the avalanche method, highest interest first, or snowball method, smallest balance first. Seeing progress fuels motivation. Brainstorm at least 3 potential additional income streams based on your current skills: freelancing, consulting, or creating digital products that could replace 20 to 30% of your income if needed. Day 10 to 14, focus on skill development. Identify one high-demand skill in your industry and spend 2 hours daily on focused learning. Protect your current income by making yourself indispensable at work. Schedule a meeting with your boss to understand company priorities and align your efforts accordingly. When others worry about job security, you'll be building multiple income streams and developing skills that increase your value in any market. Week 3, position your investments strategically. Day 15 to 17, review your portfolio through a recession lens. Create an opportunity fund, a cash reserve separate from your emergency fund that's earmarked for investing when others panic sell. Even $1,000 can be enough to start. Review your stock portfolio for proper weighting toward recession-resistant sectors, consumer staples, utilities, healthcare, and select technology companies with strong cash positions. Day 18 to 21. Rebalance your investments by gradually shifting to a more defensive position. Increase your allocation to quality dividend-paying stocks and consider adding treasury bonds or Series I savings bonds as inflation hedges. Create a watch list of 10 to 15 quality companies you'd love to own at lower prices. Research their fundamentals now, while you're calm, so you're ready when market emotions run high. This strategic positioning means you'll be prepared to capitalize on opportunities while others are frozen in fear. Week 4, build long-term financial resilience. Day 22 to 24, review all insurance coverage, health, auto, home, and life, to identify gaps. Recalibrate your long-term financial goals, adjusting timelines or contribution amounts to reflect the new economic reality. Day 25 to 27. Create automatic systems that maintain financial discipline when motivation wanes. Set up automatic transfers to your emergency and opportunity funds. Create calendar reminders for monthly budget reviews. Use apps that track spending in real time to maintain awareness of your financial position. Day 28 to 30. Build community resources by connecting with like-minded people focused on financial resilience. Join online forums, local meetups, or financial book clubs to share strategies and support. By day 30, you'll have transformed your financial situation from vulnerable to resilient. With clear visibility into spending, growing reserves, multiple income streams, defensive investments with dry powder for opportunities, adequate insurance, and automatic systems to stay on track. Real results from real people. Maria implemented this 30-day plan during the tech layoffs of 2023. When she lost her job 3 months later, she already had 2 freelance clients, for months of expenses saved, and psychological confidence from being prepared. She invested her severance in discounted stocks, and today her portfolio is up 32%, while her freelance business generates more than her old job paid. James followed this plan after watching his parents struggle through the 2008 crisis. In just 30 days, he eliminated $380 in monthly expenses, started a weekend handyman service, now bringing in $1,200 monthly, and reallocated his 401k to defensive positions. When his company announced a reorganization, he slept soundly knowing he had options his colleagues didn't. This 30-day plan provides both financial protection and peace of mind. There's a profound difference between facing uncertainty from a position of preparation versus panic. One leads to fear-based decisions, the other enables rational choices made from strength. Which position will you choose? We've traveled through centuries of economic wisdom together, and one truth stands out. History teaches valuable lessons. Those who recognize the patterns become beneficiaries of economic cycles. Your financial future depends on what you're doing right now. The next 30 days could transform this challenge into your greatest financial opportunity. As Henry Ford said during the Depression, "A business that makes nothing but money is a poor business." Real success comes from creating genuine value. Build skills. Solve problems. Help others. What immediate change will you implement today? Share your plan in the comments and become extraordinary.